Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Tuesday, January the 14th, 2020. I am Barvan there with the details. Repairs to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital Accident and Emergency Unit will be undertaken to improve the services there. This was one of the initiatives announced by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves at the ULP's 24th Annual Convention on Sunday, aimed at improving healthcare service in the country.
That accident and emergency gets a lot of licks. Part of the problem is that a lot of people who turn up at accident and emergency are not in an accident and it's not an emergency. But still, we must say, accident and emergency must be better organized. And we are refurbishing accident and emergency. And we are refurbishing the clinic at the hospital. As indeed, we have spent over $5.5 million recently refurbishing different parts of the hospital.
The Prime Minister noted that works has already started at other departments of the main hospital, such as the ICU, kitchen and female ward. Another initiative the Prime Minister outlined for the health service is the acute referral hospital at Arnoldsville. He said that they are making progress for it to become a reality.
Acute referral hospital, dealing with a lot of tertiary health care. There will be parking space. Well, first of all, let me tell you that the designs have been finished and every room earmarked with equipment. It's now being studied by us, our technical people, and the World Bank. The World Bank financed the design with a soft loan, financed the selection of the location, and Camilo is in discussion with the World Bank for us to raise $50 million US.
PM Gonsalves said the acute referral hospital at Arnoldsville will be a modern facility, which will include parking space for vehicles and a helicopter pad.
160 vehicles. The reason why everybody got car now in St. Vincent, you only had 8,000 in 2001. Now you got 35,000, but we are also going to put a helicopter pad. And we are making arrangements. We have approved a proposal already from a private helicopter operator, not for government to operate a helicopter, so that it can be hired for medical purposes and it could be hired for other purposes.
The Building, Roads and General Services Authority BRACSA is in mourning following the passing of its communications officer Roxanne Marshall Millington earlier today. BRACSA's Human Resource Officer Mala Theobald Tibbles said the Millington was the face of the company who gave her service since birth of BRACSA some 10 years ago.
It is with deep sorrow that we received the news of the death of our communications officer, Mrs. Roxanne Marshall Millington. Mrs. Millington worked with us at BRACSA from its inception in 2009 up to the time of her death this morning. Mrs. Millington was part of the senior management team, and in her capacity as communications officer, she was the face of the company. She worked closely with media outlets and the general public by proactively generating information and features in support of the work of BRACSA.
Tibbles noted that Millington has left a void and will be greatly missed.
Participated in television and radio programs to promote the authority's work. Roxanne had a keen eye for what was happening in the field, especially where it concerned the general public. She traveled the length and breadth of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and would report directly to the supervisors about any issues on the ground. This was especially important to the effective functioning of our operations. As expected, we are deeply saddened by her passing, as she has left not only a void in the company, but also in our hearts.
Millington was a regular face on SVG-TV News, updating us on the work of Braxa. May her soul rest in peace. The police here are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of Davidson Charles, a 57-year-old security guard of Mill Street, Barley, which occurred last Sunday, January 12, 2020. The police says Charles' body was discovered by his 57-year-old common-law wife hanging from a piece of string in the kitchen at their home. Davidson's death is suspected to be a suicide and is the first recorded in SVG for 2020. A post-mortem examination is expected to be conducted on the body of the deceased to ascertain the cause of death. This country has a long-standing relationship with Canada, and with the launch of the book Maple Leaves and the Caribbean Seas, Vincentians and others in the region can gain a greater appreciation of this close link. The book was launched last evening at the Prime Minister's residence by the Canadian High Commission in collaboration with the government of SVG in celebration of Canada's 150th anniversary confederation and of its long-standing relationship with the Caribbean. The book is rich with pictures and short stories which highlight the unique relationship with Caribbean countries have with Canada. It also highlights some notable persons from the region who played a role in developing that country. Speaking at last evening's launching ceremony, Canada's High Commission to the OECS and Barbados, Marie Legault, said they are notable Vincentians who have made an impact on the life of Canadians through their work. One of these Vincentians featured in the book is Dr. Joseph Alban Liverpool, who made tremendous contributions as a medical doctor and a founding member of Caribana, which is one of the largest cultural festivals in North America.
Which was done for Montreal Expo, but they also asked to do something in Toronto, which resulted in actually a week-long event of festivities taking place in Toronto in August '67. It was so successful that week-long that the then mayor of Toronto said, okay, let's not make this a one-shot event, let's make this something that will take place every year. So what started 53 years ago as a one-week-long event has become North America's biggest cultural festival, growing into a 3-week-long celebration and attracting last year over 1 million visitors. So quite a feat for Dr. Liverpool and his team around him.
Another Vincentian featured in the book is Dr. Nigel Thomas. The Canadian High Commissioner to the OECS and Barbados said Dr. Thomas's work is an excellent example of the human connection between SVG and Canada.
Contribution to literature, to Canadian literature, actually, and West Indian literature, if I can look at both of your accomplishments, is really important because it gives a perspective of what Canada is for West Indians with a different lens. And this lens is very important because it's part of our fabric also. He has authored 5 books, 3 collections of short fictions, a collection of poems, and 2 scholarly texts. On February 1st, 3 weeks from now, he will receive the 2020 Martin Luther King Jr. Achievement Award. Please congratulate him. And Dr. Thomas features in the book we're launching tonight as an example of the human connection between our countries.
Also speaking at the book launch was Acting Prime Minister Sir Louis Schraker, who described the book as sentimentally exciting and nostalgically refreshing as it gives the journey SVG had with Canada during the early years. Sir Louis said Canada has played a role in every area of SVG's development.
Was made of a high school in Trumuka, and I hope that Her Excellency might find the time. I'm sure she might have gone there before, but if not, she should pay a visit. That's your high school. We'll be very happy for you to visit there. It was built by Canada. If my memory serves me right, Renee, you can correct me, I believe there was a plaque in the Annisville airport showing that that airport was donated by Canada or gave tremendous help for us to have that airport at the time when it was most needed, and also I believe, to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, which is the Kingston General Hospital. So we have Canada in every area of our development. True, we disagree in some areas. As every member of a family would know, you don't always agree. But what binds us together is far more than what separates us.
SVG will host the 26th meeting of the Council of Ministers of CARIFORUM this Friday, January the 17th, 2020, at the Beachcombers Hotel. The government of SVG currently occupies the chair of the Caribbean Forum of African, Caribbean and Pacific States and is therefore responsible for chairing meetings of the Council of Ministers of CARIFORUM and meeting of CARIFORUM attended by the heads of state and government, as well as any other ministerial meeting. The Council of Ministers is usually convened twice yearly, a special meeting and an annual meeting. In preparation for the 26th meeting, a meeting of the CARIFORUM Technical Advisory Group on post-contour negotiations will be held on Thursday, January the 16th, also at the Beachcombers Hotel. A number of issues requiring urgent attention are scheduled to be discussed at these meetings, which include Brexit, implementation of the CARIFORUM European Union Economic Partnership Agreement, CARIFORUM EU Development Cooperation, and CARIFORUM institutions. CARIFORUM was established to manage and coordinate relations between the Caribbean states. These include programming and managing implementation of regional resources made available to the Caribbean region by the European Union through the European Development Fund, coordinating the implementation of the CARIFORUM European Union Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA, managing CARIFORUM EU political dialogue, and promoting intra-CARIFORUM cooperation. The Layu Government School has reopened its library after 10 years of being dormant. This was made possible with the help of the Hands Across the Seas organization, which initiated the process earlier last year. The organization's representative, Yvette Pompey, said that the library was in a sad state of affair and needed to be refurbished with new books, and they were happy to assist as their main objective is to raise the literacy levels in SVG.
Termite infested, worm eaten. The walls and the shelves were painted black, and the heat was unbearable, so no one went into the library. I would also like to commend your present principal, Mr. Milton Weeks, for continuing where Mr. McDonald left off after he retired. Mr. Weeks, too, is quite enthusiastic about the project and has plans to further its development. There is need for more comfortable furniture, and the heat is still a challenge.
Most of the books are for primary school students, and according to Pompey, more books are expected for the library, which teachers can also benefit from.
810 brand new books for the shipment, and they have promised to send more later in this year. From this collection, you will find books of different genre to meet your needs and interests. There are books like Superman, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Avenger, Princess Diary, Dogman, Batman, to name a few.
The First Caribbean International Bank also partnered with the Hands Across the Seas and the Layu Government School to refurbish the library and stock it with new books. The bank's representative, Shelly-Ann Samuel, emphasized the importance of reading and urged the students to spend less time on gadgets and more time reading.
Reading helps us discover new things. So don't always use your devices, your phones, your computers, just to scroll through and look at pictures or YouTube videos or just listen to music. You can use your devices to read. Nothing is wrong with reading a good old book. It's not old-fashioned in any way. Reading will help you think for yourself and have perspective on things.
The Hands Across the Seas organization has worked with several schools across SVG to get libraries up and running. The Cathedral Secondary School will host a career fair tomorrow under the theme, exposing our students to new and exciting frontiers. The fair will commence from 8:30 with a march from Chateau Belair to the Cathedral Secondary School under the slogan, "Knowing Who I Am, Choosing a Career." At the fair, there will be various booths set up with representatives from different career fields who will share information with the students. Representative of the Cathedral Secondary School, Heather Stewart, said as a career guidance counselor at the school, she has been guiding the students and helping them to find a career they can pursue upon leaving the institution.
This is the career key, helps a child to understand who they are or who that child is and what jobs are available out there that will suit his or her personality. So first and foremost, the career key helps the child to identify his cognitive personality. And once a person knows what their cognitive personalities are, there can be three in a circle, and they can be identified in an acronym, RIASEC, which is your personality can either be realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, or conventional. So one person could fall into three of these categories, but there is always a high point. So you know, even if you fall into the three categories in terms of your personality, you could be a high point, for example, conventional, and you know really fit into those jobs where you sit at the table and research and so on.
Stewart said the most important part of the career fair will be the interview session, which will better equip the Form 5 students on how to do job interviews.
Will take part in the interview, and not only fifth formers from the Cathedral Secondary School, fifth formers from Camden Park, right down to. We did not ask them to bring the entire fifth form. We asked them to select persons from the fifth form who would participate. One of the high points, or the main thing in the interview is students would be given a chance to job shadow in the area where they are interviewing. So if you interview, in your interview you want to become maybe somebody who work at Vinlake or whatever area, it is our job as counselors to ask that particular organization to take this child, because this child did very good at the interview and this child really understands the job that he or she is getting into. So we'd like you to give this child a space in your firm or your organization so that this child would learn more or get to see. Not necessarily for pay, but if they can pay them fine, it is great, what we call job shadowing.
Stewart is inviting all of the schools and communities in the zone to be a part of the Cathedral Secondary School Career Day Fair.
So the child gets to learn more about the job and decide, well, yes, this is what I really, oh no, I think it's this, but I think there's something else. Because remember, in every career area, there are other areas. So the child may not fit that particular part in that field, but he might fit in another area. Because, you know, even in news, there are different areas. All of us do not work in the news department. In teaching, there are different areas, and so on. So, with that being said, I am inviting parents, guardian, community people from the community of Petit Bordel, Chateaubriand, Fituse, Spring Village, Rosebank, Chumuka, right back to Garden Yard, to come out and be a part of this career fair.
The St. George's Cathedral in Kingstown is celebrating its 200th anniversary with a series of activities under the theme St. George's Cathedral, 200 years, 1820 to 2020, affirming our heritage, forging new paths. The building of the cathedral was consecrated on September 6, 1820. To celebrate the 200th year anniversary of the cathedral, the Anniversary Committee has planned a series of activities which will end on September the 6th with a special Thanksgiving service for Mass. Giving an overview of the activities, Chair of the Anniversary Committee, Onika Morgan, said that the major celebratory activity will take place on February the 20th, which is the installation of the Dean of the St. George's Cathedral.
On the 20th of February, this is our first major event, the installation of the Dean of the St. George's Cathedral. The installation of the very Reverend O. Samuel Nichols as Dean of the St. George's Cathedral and Director of the Cathedral Parish of St. George and St. Andrew, is scheduled for 5 p.m. on Thursday the 20th February at the St. George's Cathedral. The Venerable Michael Marshall and the Reverend Father Junior Ballantyne will be installed as well as members of the Cathedral chapter. This event appropriately falls as our first major activity and would set the ball rolling, as they say, for what is to come.
Another big event for the anniversary celebration will be a gospel concert on Saturday, April the 18th, which Morgan said will be used to give God thanks for his goodness and mercies for the past 200 years.
Saturday, the 18th of April, that is our anniversary gospel concert. April is Gospel Fest month, and this concert is another avenue for giving thanks to God for his goodness and mercy over the years. The music will reflect popular songs and artists from the 18th century to present, and the objective is for persons to appreciate the different types of Christian music in worship through various expressions of praise. That is, expressed through song, dance, instrumentals, and dramatic presentations.
The anniversary celebration will also include the distribution of a 5-year scholarship to a child from the Kingstown Anglican School or the Lomans Leeward Anglican School to pursue their secondary education at the Bishop's College, Kingstown.
A 5-year scholarship at $1,500 per year will be awarded to a child from the Kingstown Anglican School or the Lomans Leeward Anglican School accepted into the Bishop's College, Kingstown. This scholarship is based on a combination of need and academic performance. The net revenue collected from the anniversary services will go towards the student scholarship and the continued restoration of the St. George's Cathedral.
Meanwhile, Bishop of the Diocese of the Windward Islands, Reverend Leopold Friday, said that though the St. George Cathedral has learned and have come fully to understand who they are in Christ.
The bishop of this cathedral has helped many to understand who we are in relationship to God and Jesus Christ, and enable them to apply their faith convictions to the ways in which they live out their lives daily, and assist in the development of an identity in Christ that sends them out into the world equipped to build relationships of integrity and mutuality. Anglicans and non-Anglicans alike have found this cathedral, this house of prayer, to be a special place. A place where they encounter the true and living God.
Dean of the St. George's Cathedral, Reverend Samuel Nichols, said that the 5 core values of the cathedral, community, abundance, serve, love, and faith, have guided the church in carrying out its mission and realizing its vision by bringing persons in the unity with God.
And so what are some of our core values? We have identified 5 of them. 1, the community or family, where we are journeying together, where we nurture and nourish each other. And this is vital as the body of Christ. One of the best things about the Anglican Church is that there is a place for everyone. St. George's Cathedral welcomes all persons into various ministries, whether it be Men's Fellowship, Mothers Union, Anglican Church Women's Association, Youth Group, Communicant Association, etc. Every member of the family can find support and assistance in gaining a deeper relationship with Christ.
President of the World Blind Organization will be in SVG for a one-week visit to work with the Voice of the Disabled organization on a number of programs. During the President's visit, training and other informative sessions will be held with the visually impaired. President of the Voice of the Disabled organization, Cheryl Adams, said she is looking forward to the visit and the activities to be held.
Mr. Charles Massop, President of the World Blind Union, would be arriving here in St. Vincent tomorrow, which is the 15th to the 21st. Mr. Massop was here in the summer. He's visually impaired, and he collaborated the CICVI workshop with the along with Voice of the Disabled and Ministry of Education. He will be meeting with the members, where he will be talking to us about on our rights as persons with disability, and a lot will be learned, and we will understand fully what our rights are. Not that we don't know what our rights are, but will be teaching us more, and how we can go about advocating and stuff like that.